Live here. Welcome to Why Invest Wednesday. We got the Minister of Mortgage, Walter Parker here. He's a lot better looking than me, so
whatever.
Tag him on Facebook. We'll get going. Walter Parker. Zoom. Oh, it didn't tag you.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
All right, guys, what's up? Thanks for joining me today. Why Invest Wednesday looks a little different. We're doing double live stream. We got Walter Parker with Contour Mortgage, also known as Minister of Mortgage. Today, I was actually running through my numbers. I talked to a lot of people, brokers, things like that, and a lot of people do that now. We give up and a rent for another year. I get it, man. They're well year on as far as mortgages and that stuff goes. How many guys you got in the give up boat?
That boat is getting a lot bigger day by day. It feels like that we're going to topple, but I have to switch hats, so to speak. Go from a mortgage to a minister to a counselor to a motivational coach. But really talk numbers and finance. And when people start feeling their emotions, they don't automatically make the smartest financial decisions and let frustration over future happen. And we're seeing a lot of that is that people are giving into frustrations instead of still staying concentrated on their futures. And so I saw your thing earlier today. I was like, dude, we got to chat about this. This is right in my wheelhouse and what I'm actually talking about with my borrowers. I, again, had a disappointing weekend with one of my borrowers. Had a really disappointing weekend. We thought we were really strongest offer in the boat and everything else, and came back. Cash buyer went 15 grand over.
Right. We had one too with a teacher that we were trying to get under contract, me and you, and it didn't. We tried. We pulled out all the tricks, but in the end, it didn't work out. So yeah. I mean, on top of those things, then he's got realtors calling him, asking about the market, depressed, whatever. So I mean, giving up is definitely something that we need to talk about. We need to talk about what it really means to rent a home and not purchase a home. I remember my average down payment, did a bunch of different things, and it really shocked me what I came up with. This. That's what my brain looks like. And Walter actually has a tool that's a little bit better. Ultimately, the mortgage applications are at 39%. So those of you who think that this is just a bubble, it's going to crash. I'm going to tell you it's not. And mortgage applications are up 39% year over year. Obviously, we might have a little COVID, implication is this time last year. We were right in the middle of it, but even then, 30% huge number of mortgage applications, people that are willing to jump in the market and invest in their future. And then the CoreLogic has 11% appreciation on average nationwide. As you know, Colorado is usually a few ticks, if not 4 or 5 ticks above the national average in appreciation. So really costly. And I get it. I'm going to save it up and I'm going to jump in the market, do this. The honest truth is, my number is $49,694.72. You would have to say to be on the playing field today as you would in a year. So my number, Walter's going to bring down his numbers, and his is organized and fancy. So I'm going to turn it over to him. Instagram, hop over to YouTube, Facebook, all my tunes are live. If you're on Walter Parker, check out Walter Parker's Facebook page, personal Facebook page, and we're live there to see the screen share. Follow us, like us, smash that like button all day, smash it, and we'll go from there. All right, here you go, Walter. All yours.
All right, thanks so much. So, what we're looking at is a number of things. One, I want to address, hey, this is going to get better next year, or we'll wait for foreclosures to happen. We're actually on a 3-year tick, and this is just year one, of a record number of millennials entering into the housing market. So if you think it's going to get better a year from now, no. Our new construction is going to get caught up, or they're going to be a massive amount more sellers next year? No, it's just there's not going to be, even as if things open up and when COVID becomes a part of the past and not the present talk, even with all that happening, we have a record number of people that are trying to enter market at the same time. And the fact we have backlog from COVID of people that didn't enter the market as far as selling and then buying up and everything else. So we got a number of things, but there was always one thing to consider is that as the housing market goes up, as an owner of investment property, the rent goes up too, right? Right, Jeremy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, exactly. So you can make your landlord richer while you're trying to save, like Jeremy was saying, about $50,000. If you look at my screen here, and I'm not sure if we're going to see, we got it popped up. So this is the end result numbers. I'm going to tell you how we got here to these numbers and what we're looking at. So if we looked at a $450,000 property in Lakewood, say you're putting down 10%, and say you got a rate today of 3.25. Okay, I'm being realistic. May not be the best overall rate, but it is a pretty realistic rate if you got decent credit for a conventional loan. I'm being very conservative here and saying, hey, so you wait 6 months, what are rates likely going to do? They're going to continue to rise. I mean, historically speaking, 3.25 is still historically very, very low. So as inflation happens, we got a little bit good news yesterday, which caused rates to stop going up a little bit. So today was a good day to lock. Tomorrow may be the same thing, at least the rest of this week. But overall, we are looking at rates going to be on the rise. So we factor in the amount of interest you're paying, as far as the amount of rent you're paying, because all of that is recoupable as far as being a buyer. And then second of all, the interest you're paying now versus the interest you're paying later, if you do decide to wait another year. And then how much amortization and how much principal are you buying down as property prices continue to rise. So it's not just, hey, a year from now, a $450,000 property is probably going to be about $500,000. It's not just that, but you take into account everything you've paid for those 12 months if you did rent versus that. And so as you can see, we got about 11% is what we're conservatively estimating, but even going beyond that, even say 2 years. Okay, so if you look at 450 now to 535 just 2 years from now, that's $85,000 you've saved. And as Jeremy was saying, you're not having to pay another $50,000 to get in a year later. You're actually getting in now. So, I mean, when we talk about those numbers, and as we see the charts, they only go one direction, and that's up over the next 3 years. We're not seeing anything. Everybody's predicting, we're going to have major number of foreclosures. But Jeremy, you made an interesting point earlier as far as about these foreclosures. It's not really going to be foreclosure numbers, because if you're sitting on $100,000, $150,000 equity, what are you going to do? You're going to sell. So the thing is, we're not going to see houses selling undervalued next year. And in fact, it's going to be you competing against a lot more investors, even probably next year, which investors have cash, right? And they're sitting on waiting for the perfect time to come into market. So again, your competition is not going to get better. Right now is if people say, what's the best time to buy? For most people, it is right now. Now, if you got a 420 credit score, now's not the best time to buy. But if you actually have the credit and enough money to at least get in the door, get your foot in the door, even if it may not be the perfect house you want, you have to be realistic in this market. I have some buyers right now. They want 3-car garage and a pool in Florida. They've gotten beat on every offer they've come in. And who's beating them? Cash offers. Because everybody wants a 3-car garage and a pool. Who wouldn't want that, right? But so there are certain things you have to be realistic. Now, if you can go from 3 to a 2-car garage all day, we got a little bit more inventory. But when you get very picky and very granular on exactly what you have to have, you will miss out in this market, because you can put in an extension. You can put in a pool later. There's different things you can do. But just looking at just the basics without any, frillies or anything, I've got actually, if you wait a year, you're losing about $58,109. If you wait for 2 years, that almost doubles. And these are conservative numbers. These are not by any stretch we're shooting really high. We're shooting very conservative, actually. So it actually, the loss of money could be larger. But you can see it on the screen for yourself as far as 6 months, year, 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah, and let's look at this. Ultimately, we have a situation that some home values are going up 20% from Thursday to Sunday. We're listing it at, a certain price, and we're getting $60,000 to $100,000 over asking price in certain price points. And that's a 20% increase in a weekend. And there's 52 weekends in a year. So I would argue
NFL quarterback numbers. Like last year, you could have signed that free agent for $28 million. This year, it's $40 million, right?
Yeah, not like Drew Lock, but
we're seeing, right. But we're seeing that huge percentage jump. Yeah. And the funniest meme I've seen about that was a guy shows, and he's like, and if you'd like to see something at about 50,000 more, we'll come back and see the same house tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
That's brutal. And I understand some of the buyers, and I have buyers out there, people I've known since they were 2.5 years old, that I'm going to war for every day and trying to find a great place or a fit. And they're pretty realistic. I know that, ultimately my big thing and the why I do this and why I'm a realtor is ultimately because I changed my financial freedom by investing in real estate. And obviously that's something that, it was a good timing worked to my favor. But if you're buying a home at $400,000 in the Denver market, that's a stepping stone. And I understand that that's a lot of money to a lot of people. It's a lot of money to me. And that's just where we're at in the Denver market, but that's a stepping stone. Like, let's get in the door, and in 5 years, maybe we're selling that house. You have $200,000 in equity, and then we can start worrying about the 3-car garage, the pools, the things like that. My main focus is finding a house that houses your family in the amount of rooms necessary.
Right. Well, I mean, think about it. If you wait 3 years, and again, we're even factoring a 6% seller's commission on this thing. So if you factor in 3 years, you got $150,000 more to get what you want. Now, yes, equity and values are going to go up, but you're not going to lose. And in fact, at 10% gain on your money each year, it's not many other investments out there you could do to have that large a gain this quickly. And 5 to 10 years from now, that may be a different story. But over the next 3 years, that's why it's so important. And yes, it's exhausting. I know it's exhausting for you, Jeremy, driving, 15 hours on a weekend, trying to see every house, and you're putting in, and writing those offers aren't quick, are they? I mean, they take a little bit of time and effort, right? And so I know the realtor exhaustion is setting in, and I know the consumer exhaustion. And trust me, when I get people that I want to help out and see in the home, it's frustrating for me knowing they've gone out all weekend, spent their entire weekend looking, and then they got beat out by somebody else offering more cash, right? Way above appraised value, which is also helping drive some of this stuff.
And you're seeing, I mean, in our market, this is not me by any means, but some realtors like, don't call me, don't have lenders call me. Like, I'm the king of the world. And that's garbage in my opinion. That's not how I conduct business. I call those people and I try and build relationships still. I mean, my job is number one to go to battle for my clients. And whether I'm making, $4,000 commission or $20,000 commission, I'll battle every day. And I'm here to tell you, there's not a lot of realtors out there saying, hey, don't wait, don't wait. It's going to cost you. And, my heart goes out to the people that have to give up, the people that are in that situation that they don't have a ton of money. They have to sign a year lease or jump. And, we don't need homeless people by any stretch of the imagination on our client radar. So, that's just a great piece of knowledge from Walter, and we can definitely plug numbers into this for your scenario as we go. I think that's a huge case. Ultimately, just wanted to put somebody in front of you that can actually talk numbers. I'm actually not licensed to talk interest rates, so that's somebody who can talk numbers. And honestly, the number that struck me the most is the average nationwide 11% increase in value, and that's including New York, California, the places that are still locked down. That obviously encompasses all of those places. And the 11% increase, I mean, there's not a lot of jobs out there, W-2 jobs, that are getting an 11% raise a year. Walter, do you see that very often on your loan applications? 11%?
Yeah, no, not at all.
Right.
So, in fact, there's a lot of shifts and changes in careers. And I would say if you feel like your career is going to be changing, that's something also to keep in mind is that, hey, the job you have now and what you have, not scare you or anything, but if you're thinking about starting a business or switching from being, working for someone else to working for yourself, you want to make sure and take care of your housing situation first, because again, we see people flip from W-2 to 1099 employees, and something like that. You need 2 years of 1099 before you can even look at buying a house, because we need to see some consistency on income. Whereas a W-2, now you go flip flop, you can do that within a month, right? If you go from 1099 to W-2. So if you have the means and the ability to get your foot in the door right now, even if it's not the most perfect situation financially, you just need to have amnesia over the last year of interest rates and the last years of having seller concessions. I mean, when's the last time you heard seller concessions on a deal, Jeremy?
Well, I've gotten a few, but it's I'm surprised when it comes up as happening. So
right. I mean, and sellers know this. There's even, I mean, Jeremy's absolutely one of the most knowledgeable listing agents I work with. I work with a lot of buyers agents and have to deal with listing agents. A lot of misinformation out there. People don't like certain loan programs. They fear that it's going to get a lower appraisal and lower this and that. But, I'll tell you, when you're working with the right people, whether you're on the buy side or the sell side, it makes a world of difference in the quality of the transaction, how smooth the transaction goes, everything else. So if you can get your foot in the door right now, that's the main thing. Just get to the party. It doesn't matter if you're in the front row or the back row. If you can just get to the party, it's kind of like the Denver sports teams here, right?
Let's
get to the playoffs.
Right. Let's talk about those Denver sports teams. Hey, it was a crazy week this week. Jamal Murray, starting superstar point guard, the bubble MVP, as some people call him, from last year, scored like a ridiculous amount of points in the Utah series and things, or once he came back and things like that. But he unfortunately tore his ACL, and I was just driving around town, showing buyers, going to appraisals, this and that, and listening to sports talk, and our boy Vic Lombardi over at Altitudes, talking about this Nugs Life thing. And they start talking about Calvin Nadd injuries and David Thompson and Alex English and LaFonso Ellis. And, I'm a sports nut, so I recognize those names, Walter. Some of those names probably are pretty foreign to you from the
some of them do. They sound familiar, but, it's like, if you want to talk for, Falcons or Cowboys.
Right. There we go. But these dudes for the Nuggets, I mean, they're talking about every injury, that season-ending injury we've had over the last 40 years. And Nugs Life, like we're some sort of, I don't know. We have a disease or something where when we have a good season, our guys get hurt. Well, part of the problem is we don't have very many good seasons. But as far as Nuggets, right, here's the deal. I'll tell you, something to look at. The Avalanche are the best team in this whole state, and they will be for a long time. I'm a season ticket holder of the Broncos. I love my Broncos, but if we make the playoffs, I'll be happy. We might want to pick a quarterback first and quit pissing off the one we got if he's going to have to play. I mean, the Broncos decided they're just not going to do off-season workouts because they're scared of COVID. So that's weird, because I remember that they had
injury bugs or season injuries.
Right. I'm pretty sure that they had an issue at the facility where the quarterbacks didn't wear masks, and unfortunately we had a guy play quarterback that wasn't an NFL quarterback this year. So it's funny how they weren't too concerned about that back in the in season when they're getting their paycheck. But these off-season workouts, they're scared of COVID.
Well, they're all going to be vaccinated before the beginning of the season, so they're all like free and clear.
Right. So I mean, I don't know, if I win 5 games, I want my team to work out and do their thing, and obviously we got to be safe with COVID. I get it. But when you have a clear-cut excuse there. But anyways, we'll move past that. But I'll tell you right now that these the people that are really chapping my hide, Walter, are those Rockies fans. I mean, I'm a Colorado Rockies guy through and through up until the day they traded, the best third baseman in Major League history. And I'm over it. I'm over the ownership. I enjoy going to games, and I'm just not doing it anymore. And I see on Instagram, I see on Facebook, all these people going to games and, whatever. And those are the people that were like, I'll never watch another Rockies game again. And, on the horizon, they're going to trade Trevor Story, pretty much, guts are off the lineup. I'll tell you what, right now, fans, if you're not talking about the Avalanche and watching what they're doing, you better hop on the bandwagon. So
is it just me, or is every team thinks they can play money ball in baseball?
Yeah.
they think they can just trade and plug in no-name guys and immediately get to a champion. I mean, I moved from Tampa, so I mean, we saw it firsthand. One of the worst attendance teams in all of sports. They didn't really care. Well, also people. Now they do build their farm system with pitching. So by every 3-4 years, they're circling through amazing pitchers. And I give it up to their scouts, are like the MVPs of the organization, but they don't hold on to anybody. You look at every great pitcher we've had, they're either Kansas City, Detroit, Houston. I mean, and these guys are becoming regular contenders, right? So I think every owner believes that he can play Moneyball, and I think that's the Denver team is no exception. And listen, I may have been a Braves fan, but I remember expansion day with Marlins and Rockies, and I watched that opening day back in '95. And I love Rockies. I mean, I was like, they're in the National League. Braves is my team. But if I got to have a number 2 team, especially my wife, she'll go for Denver teams every day over my team. So, but that's where we're at.
Now you're back. Now you've got all this mess of sports to look at. But hey, I'm excited for the Broncos. I'm excited. The Nuggets still have a pretty good squad. They're going to compete and contend and work hard, I hope. I'll be the first to say their coach isn't my favorite, but I'll leave that up to. I don't want to make anyone mad or anything, but his end-game adjustments, his end-game coaching is trash. We'll go from there. I'm just a high school basketball coach. Yeah, Walter, I just wanted to say thanks for coming on. Obviously, we'll wrap this up here. You guys get back to your Wednesday. Can you shut that, please? Sorry, my daughter's jumping in. Get back to our Wednesday nights.
My daughter's calling me too, so I get
perfect. Yeah, and we'll just do this every once in a while. Walter, it's great to have you on. Also, just want to give you a shout out, man. January 2020, I was sitting in a class with you, and I had never done one video. And this is Why Invest Wednesday. I mean, I think I missed 2 weeks this summer when I was on a boat in Lake Powell and had no service, but I've done it every week since March last year, and it's changed my business. And I want to thank you for all you've done for me in that aspect. So, all you real.
I appreciate that. You've done it, man. You've built it. I love Why Invest Wednesdays, and I creep up when I can. And then like today, like, hey,
let's get on
with you on this. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's all you realtors out there that we talk to on a regular basis, all you realtors out there, just hit up Walter Parker, Minister Mortgage, Contour Mortgage, changing the realtor-lender relationship. So hope you guys all have a great day. Thanks for joining us. Holler back. Go Avalanche. Go every other team in the league besides the Rockies.
Bye.
Bye.